Welcome to Yellow Skunk Farms. Quick disclaimer, this is a 21-year-old and up channel, so if you're not 21 years or older, please leave the channel now. Appreciate it. Well, the algorithm appreciates it anyway. I really don't care. But you can see the new pond garden. We have laid the concrete. We need some more sidewall rock, but we have brought quite a bit up from the last video. We've concreted all that in yesterday, so it's almost up to where the creek wall is. Pretty close. We've got a good 20 inches of soil space depth wise, so all of this is going to be soil. You can see how we have brought it out. So we brought these rocks out here. We're going to set another one here. We're going to set another one out here a little bit, bring this out. So all of this will be soil. I mean, like I said, it's deep all the way around. We'll add the clay. We need to add some more clay here. So I just left this open where I could step in without stepping on the clay, because I really don't want to mash the clay down too much, because that will, but you know, it's going to get mashed down anyway when we put water in here. So we're going to fill this up with water after we remove all this excess concrete. Then we come in here. We're going to take some more concrete in the pond, and we'll smooth out some spots. And then we, after we do that, we let that dry a little bit. We smooth that out with our hands. Then we just make sure there are no leaks anywhere. We can put some pond shield on it and put water in it. Then we can start do the same to the creek here. We're just going to patch some spots where the concrete cracks and dries. You can see where it dries and gets cracks. So we come back with more concrete and just smooth some concrete down through there, filling in all those cracks. When it dries a little bit, after a couple hours, we bring our gloves in here, smooth that out, pond shield all that. Once we do the pond shield, which is just a 2-part epoxy, we should be ready to flow some water. Once we start flowing water from up there, we can then adjust the flow. We may have to add some rocks. I'll show you. We may have to add some rock. I'm not quite sure how the water is going to flow off of here. Let me get over here. Off of here. So it's going to come off here, and I don't know how far it's going to come. It's really hard to see this with the camera, but you can see how far we've got. And I'm trying to get it to come down. Some of it's going to come off this way. Some of it's going to go back down into here, going underneath, coming out, falling into here, going down into this hole, which then this hole leads out underneath this rock, going into the creek. This will be more of a waterfall coming off of here, but I don't know how far that water, if it splashes, I might have to put a rock here, or come out here with a little bit of a rock to keep the splash from going in, because there'll be soil all the way up to here. You know, all of this will be soil. We'll have rock here covering that up, and then we're just going to soil, and the plants will cover all this up. I figured instead of putting like a rock or something, I'll just use a log. I'll just place a log from like rest here down to here, and that'll cover that up, and then just soil everything around it, so it'll look like a log laying on soil, covering up that rock. You know, the log can be hanging over into kind of like a tree log laying over into the pond. We'll see what we can find down at the reservoir. We are day 6 of flower. You can see where I have fingered a few of these big leaves, just trying to get light down here to these lowers. You can see that it is definitely working. We can take another finger here That's just going to open this up a little bit, allowing light to get down there. It's all about that light penetration, really, getting that light down here to these lower branches. And the more light we can get to these lowers, kind of like having under canopy lights or scrog netting it out, you know what I mean? But anyway, we did a lot of that yesterday. A lot of these big leaves, just covering up my bud sites. More bud sites, more bud, right? The more light we can get to that site, there, and to that, these are all potential tops. We can get these to stretch on up like we do these over here. So the top is right there. That's the top of the plant, and you can see all these lowers we're getting to come on out. And they can come on out and become tops, just like we would scrog net something, but we didn't scrog net anything. We're just fingering these leaves, thinning out the top of these plants, letting that light penetrate down into the lowers. This has to be done from veg, you know. I can't stress it. If you're waiting to defoliate, but it's a strategic defoliation, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing it all at once. I'm strategically taking fingers throughout the whole growth cycle. Like, these plants are used to being plucked by the time. See how that leaf is, and we just moved it down. We don't have to really remove it because we want the solar panel, but I want the light to get down there even more. So I'm going to be removing a lot of these big fingers, especially from the top. So that's why these plant fingers are split like that anyway. See how that's resting on top of my bud site? We don't want that. But I want the leaf. But now I have a whole lot more light. And it matters. It really matters a lot. That little extra light can really make a difference, and it just seems to really enjoy being plucked. It really does. Like, the more I pluck it, the more it responds. It likes it. They like it. They can handle a full defoliation, but I don't do that. It looks naked, and I don't like feeling naked. Some people like feeling naked. I don't, but you might. I don't think these plants do, though. Some might. Some can handle it and throw more leaves, but then you have to defoliate again. But I just do it slowly over the course of the life of the plant. Picking here and there, making sure everything stays aerated. Some I thinned out. This one over here is crazy thick. Beautiful plant. So I've just been coming in here taking some of these big fingers off. Eventually I will take the whole leaf, but not until it's down to its last finger usually, or if it's completely covering up something, or if it just needs to come out, you know what I mean? Like this one down here, like it doesn't need to be here really. It's not getting any light, so we can just pop it right off. Like these down here don't really need to be here. These down here. If I can take this whole thing down, we need the scissors for that. Grandma shears. I'm shocked that these are leaning up against this grass, and They're not getting eaten. Like the nothing. Like usually, like when I first started the bed, anything that would touch, like the plants weren't healthy enough. Anything that would lay up against the grass or touch the grass in any way, they would get eaten immediately by the biology that's on the grass. But now the plants are healthy enough to where the sugar content in the plant is high enough to where the pests just don't want to eat it. You can see they eat a little bit there, but that was laying right on the ground. So as long as it's healthy, it seems to not be attacked by anything. Pretty much everything stays on the soil surface. This is why chop and drop is very important, not just to release that nutrient back to the soil, but to also feed the critters this dying plant, keep dead plant matter, especially green dying plant matter. That's what these pests are looking for. They don't want a hard meal, they want an easy meal. And if we give them plenty of it, especially through chopping and dropping, they'll eat this, and this in turn they will shit this out. The soil food web begins its process back down to where the biology then, the microorganisms, the worms and the nematodes and protozoa and all the soil food web. If you know anything about the soil food web, or if you don't know anything about the soil food web, I highly recommend looking into if you're going to grow anything. This isn't just about growing cannabis. This is about growing food. This is about sustainability. Like, I don't need to go to a grocery store. That was the whole point of this. Like, I wanted to utilize and find out what I could use on my property to, I bought a piece of property. We're going to use what we have on the property, like I see a moth, to grow and not have to go to any type of food store. Yep, there's a moth. See him? I don't spray anything for these moths. I just try and kill them with my hand. Got that one. Put them right back down in the soil and let the critters eat them. But yeah, that's what this is all about. Sustainability, making ferments, learning how to make ferments, learning how to make FAA, learning how the soil works. And once you get the basics, then it's really just about setting up an environment that will grow what you want to grow. Now, I know I went a little crazy in here, but that's kind of what I do. Like, I learned something, and then I got this idea in my head, and I was like, let's roll with it. And this was the idea. But really, it all stemmed from like just wanting to learn how things worked, how nature worked. Like, I knew about photosynthesis, but I didn't know, what it was doing, like how special it actually is. Because the plants feed themselves. It's kind of crazy. They eat light. They eat the atmosphere. So if we get the environment dialed in, they will literally feed off of the light and the atmosphere that's in here. So the better the light, the better the atmosphere, the better the plant's going to be. It's going to take that energy and send it down. Well, some of it, not all of it. Some of that sugar stays up into here. They say about 40 to 50% of that sugar is sent down to the rhizosphere in the root zone, pushing out those exudates, basically cakes and cookies, as Elaine would say, these sugars, different types of compounds. It's extremely complicated, but then again, if you take it to the chemistry level, it is complicated. But if you just stick to the basics and not really worry, I don't worry about chemistry part. Like, I'm not that smart. I'm not even going to try, because I know that most of that stuff's going to go right in my head and out the other end. I'm all about figuring out how Mother Nature does it and then giving Mother Nature the tools she needs to do what she does best. You can see how I just took this leaf off of here and just laid it down. Look at when you lay stuff down, everything comes up and it will start to. It's funny how just like one big leaf, and then over time you'll see that everything underneath this leaf will break down faster than what's not around it. And that's because things come up because there's no light hitting that. So most of these critters don't like light. That's why you never see them until you move something. You can see the moisture difference. See how the moisture, so that's wet, that's dry, but if you go just underneath this dry portion where the light's hitting, it stays moist. So that's kind of the secret. You just keep piling stuff in layers, layers, and layers. And as they break it down, we keep chopping and dropping. So it's time to cut the grass. Really, we just cut the grass not a few days ago. This leaf can come off of here. It don't need to be here. So we can chop this up, or we can just lay one. I would not stack these on top of one another. When we stack them, that's when we get moisture in between the layers and bad things happen. So we need aeration, and aeration is key to all this. So the creek is getting aerated by the flow, hitting rocks, coming down from up there, flowing down. It's getting aerated in the ponds. Basically, just picture a constant compost tea, aerating that water. That dissolved oxygen is then being pulled up into the soil pockets by the grass, by the roots. You can see we've been cutting the grass. See all the tips that have cut, and then it grows fast. I mean, it's literally, we got to cut it every week. It grows so fast, and that's because it has a constant water source, constant aeration, constant food. It grows and grows and grows. You can see it over here on this side, just going crazy. That's an old turtle shell we found. There's Bambi over there. There are little things throughout. You know, we got our gnome in there. Got a black soldier fly chilling. But everything is hunky-dory. And I appreciate everybody who hangs out every day, who took the time to get this far in the video. I greatly appreciate it. We're still kicking along. Our bush, we're gonna have to trim the bush. You know, bush gets a little out of hand, you gotta trim it back. So we always just keep a line through here. You can see that it's just black soldier fly. But we just pull them off and take them down here and chop and drop. Good to go. That being said, we'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy your Saturday. Peace.